Quick disclaimer, I do a bit of trolling, like saying stuff like, oh, he's not the brightest star in the universe, so don't go crying in the comments if I say something like that. But other than that, everything else should be fine, so let's get it. The onions. Oh man. They done did it again. They done did it. They made a situation bigger than what it already is. I wonder when that last happened. Yeah, remember those times? Just can't break with these guys. But we got a situation on our hands. So there's a situation going on that's kind of sparked some. It's gotten bigger than what it already should have been. The onions have made it bigger. I mean, it's not all of them. It's just one person, a few other people. And I'm getting comments. All right, check out these comments. It's horrendous. Okay, it's just one comment, but this guy named Joe had made an announcement thing of saying, or putting this stuff out of context to help his situation, help his side of the story. And so this guy believed everything he said and comes here. He was not in the situation. He was not in the fight. So he doesn't know anything about this. So he's like, horse, your owner sucks. Or our owners is better. They respect people. First of all, that's a big lie. One giant onion does not give a crap about your server, so stop capping. And then he's like, your server is badder. First of all, the guy can't spell, so you know it's a big joke. This is why I say people from Onion are just sheeps. They follow the one guy, they follow the leader, which in this case would be Joe, and then he's like, your owner is terrible, I'm an abuse. It's like, dude, you weren't even in the server. Like, how are you gonna just start making claims when not even being in the server? So yeah, this guy isn't the brightest star in the universe, but we'll give him some slack for trying. Like recent comments here of like the Discord server and everything. Okay, so it all started with an argument went on about 3 hours ago with me, this guy named Joe Slow, because, well, you're gonna find out why he's so slow in today's video. I'm kidding, his name's like Joe or not. And then with Harless and some other people. So, I'm gonna explain this to the best of my ability. It's a lot to take in, a lot to kind of cover, but there's two main things that happen. Two main things that make this thing, this argument, this whole thing, bigger than what it really should have been. So, this guy named Joe, we had made this argument about me muting a guy immediately because he said a word that was permitted against the rules, although at the time it wasn't very specified, but it kind of fit under the categories. That's why I never specified it. So the word was "come," horny, come. It was a word, yeah, it was that word, and I'm like, all right, immediate mute, because I thought this guy was an alt of this guy named Harless. So because of that, I thought it was Harless, and Harless, he's been here for a while. He's seen the Onion video, that server video and whatnot. He knows to not say this stuff in the server yet. He said it there. But of course, I found out it wasn't actually him, so my bad. But yeah, I had muted him immediately. I took it off later, or someone muted him, but they made a whole argument over this thing, and it was some other things, but it was just mainly the muting and also this racist thing. So what happened is, I think before the argument, I had said, like, I wasn't understanding what Joe was saying, so I'm like, oh, you speak Chinese? I can't understand you. Ching chong ching. You speak Chinese? Ching chong. And he took that to the offense, which at first he did not. I don't think he even cared to the slightest. But it's funny because at the end of this, it became a huge thing. Okay, let me explain this a lot better. So, when I first made that 5-second joke, he did not care, because I always joke around. Not like this stuff, but I always joke around. But it's funny because near the end of the argument, when I got ready to ban him, or when I did ban him, he used this against me. He said the huge announcement thing, and it's like, you know, it's funny, because if you actually felt so offended, you could have told me to not joke about that stuff, but he didn't, because he wasn't offended. As far as I know, I don't think he's Chinese. It's kind of funny, because he only used that once there was a way to put it against me. Kind of funny, isn't that? But back to the video. So, and it's funny because Joe essentially was playing the victim in this whole entire situation, almost. Playing the victim, and, well, you'll see here, he had made a whole announcement saying, look at Sir Horse in the server, it done this and this and this and this and this, out of context. Okay, I might as well break this all down before we continue. So, we already covered the Ching Chong text thing. The next one is several people typing, saying all that stuff. That wasn't intended to be serious. It was all, like, I guess, an example of my logic, essentially. So, despite that, it's whatever. It depends on the person. I mean, I know it's like, what? You just have to use that, so we're just gonna ignore that. But I mean, it's whatever. So the second one, well, it's not my problem. Oh, Joe was being slow. This is the example of him being slow. So he thought. So what I said is that it's not my problem for someone to not read the rules. Before you go and say something crazy, like, I don't know, horny or politics, you should probably check the rules. I know people don't check the rules, but you should probably check the rules before you go and say something dumb. So, as I said, that's kind of a combination of common sense. It's not my problem if you don't want to check the rules. That's like, having tinted windows on your car and getting pulled over and going like, oh, why did I get pulled over? And it's like, well, in your state, you can't have this level of tinted windows. And it's like, well, I didn't know that. And it's like, well, that's not my problem. You should probably look into that before you go to get tinted windows. So that's what I'm trying to say there. And, Joe wasn't really understanding what I was saying. I mean, he's not slow. I'm just making jokes. But, I mean, it makes sense for him not to understand, sort of. But I repeated it kind of a few times. But that's what that is. That next one with the usually start drama, that one wasn't even with the situation today. It was like yesterday, so I thought Pulp was the one making that argument again or whatever, but it was really Joe. That Joe was causing trouble yet again. And then that next one, that one wasn't even related to the thing of today. That was like me responding to someone. So yeah, back then when I posted that particular message, that was when like I was lenient and they were kind of typing stuff just like that, and it was a joke. That's why I put in bold letters. Yeah. So. And then the last one, all you people are just naturally dumb, I suppose. That's because I was kind of getting tired of Joe not understanding everything, because it's like every time I deal with Onion's people, it's always people like Joe. So that's kind of all the announcement stuff broken down. So let's get back to it. Out of context, and so all the Onion sheep followed his command, or not command, but all the Onion sheep believed him and said, horse bad, we're gonna cancel him, and now. It was that. And so it's funny because he said something pretty similar that I didn't care for, because jokingly I had patience. I didn't really care if he said stuff like this, because in the past few days to weeks he said stuff like this. He said stuff, horny stuff and everything, but I didn't really care too much because I was being lenient. I didn't really. It was just joking. So he had said, "Well, you can't be racist because you're black," and it's like, okay. Well, I didn't really care because it was a joke. I was joking with my Ching Chong. He was joking with the black thing. But then later, once he found out, like, near the end of the argument, like, when I banned him for, like, causing trouble and everything, he went to Anya's server, and that's when he made the huge announcement, putting everything out of context. It's annoying, because it makes him seem like the victim. Look, guys, I didn't do anything wrong. Look, they said racial slurs. But he didn't even say anything about what he said. It's funny, because he said something pretty similar, but he's like, no, I didn't do that. It's annoying. So essentially, he played victim to this. He made a huge big deal about this in the Onion server. And people in Onion who have no idea this happened just go like, "Oh, Sir Horse said this. This is bad. They don't even know anything about the situation." So that's what sucks. But then it's like, okay, well, first of all, it's a little like saying. It's a little not saying, but it's a little. It was a joke. It wasn't meant to be taken seriously, because against the rules it says, well, like, if you're actually trying to be racist, trying to actually like make a huge argument against someone, then that's kind of against the rules. But making a quick joke, it doesn't really matter. I didn't really mean it that way. So it's a bit wonky, but oh well. And he took that to extreme. It's funny because if he actually didn't like what I said, he could have just said stop. He could have just said I was offended by that. And the funny thing is, I don't even think he's even Chinese. It's just the funny part. And he took it way too extreme. And the thing is, it's like, okay, so what happened after that? Well, we have this guy named Sid The Science Kid. We'll name him Sid The Science Kid. A guy named Hurb. And he came in, and he's like, okay, I want context. Because he saw the huge announcement, and he's like, okay, I want context. So I'm like, okay, I'll just say the context and everything. So we argued and whatnot. And so after a while, he's like, okay, you shouldn't say that, the Ching Chong thing, because I can offend someone. I'm like, okay, makes sense. I won't do it again because I didn't mean it as anything. So I'm like, okay, I'm like a rule. We will permit the word or saying from that being said again, so people don't get offended. Which is like, people get offended by this stuff, and like, okay. And then he's like, no. He literally said, no, you can't permit that word or saying because you don't own it. You're not Asian. And I'm like, okay, but then what do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to do? So I made a comment, exact comment saying, actually, let me go grab it. Let me see if I have it. Yeah, I said, but you're gonna turn around and say, I shouldn't say Ching Chong Ching because I can offend someone. Makes sense. Okay, I agree. So I'm like, okay, because of that, I should make a rule saying, don't say this phrase because I can offend someone. Makes sense. Okay, I agree. And he's like, no, you can't do that because because you have no way to permit this word. You're not Asian. You don't own this word. I'm like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? It's like, no. He didn't even answer the question, too. It's funny, because he just kept avoiding the question. So I said, okay, I'm confused, because I'm saying I permit a word or phrase because it offends someone, because obviously Joe was offended by this. He wasn't offended. Hint, he wasn't offended until, like, this came a huge deal. Until he made it a huge deal. So because of that, I was confused. I was saying, I'm confused. Can you, like, explain? And he's like, no, just read. That was his way of getting around the question of what should I do? Because he literally didn't even answer that question. It's the funny part. Yeah, kind of funny how he dodged the question. He just wanted to make a video on this. Just wanted to make a video for clout reasons, probably. And also, this could possibly be One Giant Onion, because I did see a comment, or this comment kind of proves or supports that, yeah, this may or may not be One Giant Onion. It's sad. He didn't even make his objectives clear. He wanted context, yeah, but then he didn't say what he wanted me to do to fix this. He didn't say anything because he wants to make the video. It's sad, quite sad, and I'll be interested in seeing if this actually becomes a reality. He was getting so full of himself. I'm just saying, what do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, what? It's like, no. It's too late now. I'll make a video on this. No, before that, he just said, if it was big enough for Joe to post, then your own admin should talk about it. That's a pretty big one. No, it's just a simple phrase that I said I won't do again. It was a joke. It wasn't a serious thing I was trying to get at him. I was literally just making a joke. So he was acting like I was the first person to make this claim, and so he was like basically acting like this is a huge deal, because if Joe makes an announcement about it, then it's a big deal. It's like, no, it's just a word. And I said I was my bad because it's a quick joke. I did not mean anything by it. I'll make a rule about it. And he's like, no. I'll make a video on this. It's too late. Like, literally, that's what he said. Alright, there's no going back. I'm making a video on this. I'm like, I'm just sitting here just going like, what just happened? Which there are 3 things wrong with this. Okay, first off, you're searching for clout. It makes you look like you're searching for clout, okay? You're making a video on me, and people will go to that video, they'll get, the wrong message, and then go to my channel, and like, look at you, you're racist. So it makes you look like a clout chaser, which is kind of sad, which is kind of, it's funny, because one thing here, before I dive into the other 2 options, this would not have happened if I wasn't Sir Horse. If I didn't have a channel, and if I wasn't this big, then he would not have made a whole, I'll make a video on this. Like, he would not have taken the situation so seriously. If Mr. Joe Schmo here didn't decide to make a big deal out of something that doesn't make a big deal of, then this would not have ever happened at all. It's kind of funny, because it's kind of like, well, kind of clout chasing, because, well, Sir Horse, this guy Sir Horse, this guy who copied Onion. So it's like, big deal or everything, and I'm like, oh, okay. The second thing wrong with this is, you're giving me clout, first of all. We'll just say clout here, but you're giving me the views. People are gonna be like, okay, look at this Sir Horse guy. I'm gonna go to his channel, click on his video, and then type pretty much nonsense in the comment section. As it's like, okay, you're giving me clout, and then plus you're searching for clout almost. So, and last thing here, you're making a big deal out of something that does not need to make a big deal of. You know what I mean? It's sad. So that's kind of the entire situation I'm at, and so I kind of was forced to respond to this before he goes and starts making a video of nonsense. It's one little thing. It's funny because they're all of a sudden now taking the rules against me. They're all of a sudden now, like, people, he said this before, like Heartless and Joe have said worse things than this, have said the same things as this, and he's like, well, now I'm gonna make it against you. You suck now all of a sudden. The rules you have here for months, I'm gonna now all of a sudden use it against you and make a video on this. It doesn't make much sense. I don't know. Whoever this guy is, the Herb, to be honest, this could be anyone. This could be literally One Giant Onion himself, because who would make a video on a random guy's Discord server about a random guy saying a saying that's not original at all? Let me clarify to the best of my ability. So, who would go and take this small situation and make a video on it besides One Giant Onion reporting on his Discord server? I don't know. I mean, you could say, well, your Onion server video is similar to this. You didn't need to make a video on that. I mean, I did it for the spite and, I don't know, for the lulz. And this is also a response video, or almost. It's like a response before this person does a video on this and spreads false information. But yeah, you could apply the same logic to this. It could be just for entertainment that people would make a video on this. Yeah, kind of a wonky situation, but kind of a little thing to note. I don't know, this herb guy doesn't seem to be the brightest in the room. So yeah, quick recap. This guy named Joe essentially took this one little thing I said and made a huge announcement saying, look, 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 look. One giant horse, Sir Horse, look what he said, look what he said. I said the same thing, but look what he said. Not me, look what he said. That's Joe in a nutshell right there. And then this guy, Mr. Sid The Science Kid, or Herb, is like, you know what? You shouldn't say that. And I'm like, okay, I won't say that. Make a rule so people don't get offended. Makes sense because Joe, if he was Chinese, could have gotten offended. And then he's like, no, I'll make a video on this all of a sudden, which kind of turns it from a reasonable discussion to like clout, which is yeah, that situation. And so unfortunately, I had to respond to this somehow because this guy was gonna make a video on this. Whoever he is was gonna make a video on this, and I had to respond anyway. So yeah, that is the Onion situation. It never stopped, does it? I mean, it's not even Onion himself. I mean, the turd or herd, whatever his name is, the herd guy probably isn't Onion. I mean, it could be, but like, I don't think Onion cares enough about this. Even if he does make this video, if this is one giant Onion making a video on this right now, you are giving me clout. And again, for a second time or third time. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm wondering what video this comes out to be, and if this is just a big trick to get me to make a video on this subject of the server again. But other than that, that's been it, and I'll see you guys next one. Hopefully I don't get canceled.